So yesterday we discussed our integer rules. Remember, we talked about how we have two rules that we follow for addition. If the signs are the same, if you are adding the exact same signs, then that means that you're just going to add your bases and keep the signs. So if you're adding two negatives, then you add the bases together, your answer is negative. If you're adding two positives, you add the bases together, the answer is positive. If your signs are different, then what you're doing is you're taking the bases and subtracting highest and lowest, and then you're just keeping the sign of whatever the highest base was. So if the higher base was positive, your answer is positive. The higher base was negative, your answer is negative. Thank you. Thank you. And then remember, we said in subtraction, we don't really have subtraction. So if you're starting off with a subtraction problem, you want to change it into addition by doing keep, change, change, your additive inverse. And then you're just going to follow those addition rules. So we practiced a couple of times, and then we went over some word problems. Remember, it's important to identify key vocabulary words that'll help you break down the process for the problem. So remember, sometimes those key vocab words might indicate a sign, like this is a positive or a negative number. Sometimes those key vocab words might indicate an operation. All right, so all we're focusing on for today, finishing off these notes, is that we're going to talk about how to add integers using counters and how to use number lines. So we're going to start off with the counters first. With our counters here, what I want you guys to do is take a moment, take your pink and your green highlighters. If you don't have pink and green highlighters of your own, you can borrow the ones that are at the table. And I want you to just go through everywhere that you see a negative sign, I want you to highlight it pink to represent our negatives. And everywhere that you see a positive sign, a plus sign, you're going to highlight it green in order to represent our positives. So just go ahead and do that for all three of those problems real quickly, so that way we don't have to worry about keeping up with it later. Sammy? The paper was given out to you guys 2 days ago, so it should be inside of your backpack. Okay, so take a look in your backpack and find it, please, because I do not have extra copies. Okay, so having gone through and highlighted all of these little things, either pink or green, what we're doing is these are just showing us addition problems. So all of these are relating to the operation addition. So when we are talking about utilizing counters and number lines, we're focusing on how to add problems using counters and number lines. So all of these are just addition problems that we're focusing on. So we want to first identify how much of each integer we have that we're combining together. So let's take a look at problem number 1. Count how many negative signs we have in just problem number 1. 8, right? We have 8 negative signs. So down at the bottom, I'm going to write -8. Now again, I said that this was going to be showing or modeling addition problems. So that means I'm going to go ahead and put a plus sign in between. And then the second number is going to represent my second column. My second column happens to be all positives. So how many positives am I going to write? 6. Now, yesterday and the day before, we talked about the concept of zero pairs. Remember, zero pairs says that if you have a positive number and its exact opposite as a negative number, that would create a sum of 0, which means that I can take this positive and negative pair and I can zero it out by crossing it off. How many times can I do that in this problem? Do I have 8 zero pairs here? No, I have 6 zero pairs, right? I have one that I just crossed off. Here's a second, a third, 4, 5, and 6. All of these can get crossed off as 0 pairs. Okay, so remember, we're crossing those off and we're going to label them 0 pairs. 0 pairs cancel each other out, and then what's remaining is my answer. So negative 8 plus a positive 6 is going to equal what? Not just 2, but negative 2. Remember, it's 2 negatives, so you have to indicate that it was a negative 2 as our final answer. So that's what we are showing here that's being modeled. What I want you guys to do is I want you to try problem 2 and problem 3 on your own. I want you to write down what the expression is, like the negative 8 plus 6. I want you to identify your 0 pairs and cross them off, and then identify what's remaining as your answer. Now, are there always going to be 0 pairs? Now, which one of these problems does not have 0 pairs? Problem 3. Problem 3 doesn't have any 0 pairs, but you're still having an addition problem because we have 2 separate columns. We have column 1 that we're adding with column 2. So keep that in mind when you are writing those examples down. Okay, who can share with me what they came up with for problem number 2? Just come up with this statement. Don't tell me the final answer, but tell me what the statement was, like the negative 8 plus 6. Jada? Negative 4 plus, how many positives? 7. So negative 4 plus 7. All right, so we have negative 4 plus 7. Do we have 0 pairs? Yes. How many 0 pairs do we have here? How many can we cancel? 4, right? We have all of these right here. These are all 4 0 pairs that we can go ahead and cancel out. And then what is our remaining answer going to be, Noah? 3, a positive 3, right? It's all positive, so therefore it's a positive 3. Okay, what about for problem number 3? Who can tell me what is our numerical statement going to look like? Giancarlos? Good. Negative 5 plus negative 2. Right? We don't have any positives in this case. So again, we don't have any 0 pairs in this case. So what would our final answer be here? Negative 7. Because there's nothing that we can cancel out. So therefore, it's going to remain as a negative 7. And that's how we utilize our counters. We look for things that we can 0 pair out. And then whatever is remaining is our final answer. All right, go ahead when you're done, flip it to the next page. I know that problem's supposed to go on the next page by accident. Don't worry about what's down at the bottom. Apparently I forgot to put a space and then let it go to the next page. This goes to the next page. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this right here that you see at the bottom of that page. We're going to rewrite that onto the top of the next page. So where I write it is where I want you to write it. Don't write it too far down because then you won't have enough room to show your work. But I want you to write over here. You're just going to write number lines. And then this is the first problem that we're dealing with. Our first problem is to show negative 6 plus 2. Negative 6 plus 2. So we're now going to show how to model addition. Again, we are only focusing on addition of our integers. We're focusing on just adding our integers on a number line now. And it's a really, really easy process. When we are focusing on adding integers, we have just 2 directions that we can move. We can either move to the left on the number line, or we can move to the right on the number line. What kind of integer, positive or negative, do you think moves to the left? Negative. Negative. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, so What did we say? Which ones move to the left? Negatives. So let's write that at the top. That negatives move left. Negatives will move to the left. So that means that positives are going to move to the right. Whenever we're looking at positive numbers, they're going to go ahead and move to the right on a number line. So when we're taking a look at our problem, we've got -6 plus 2. We want to showcase that, what it looks like on that number line. When we start with our plot, we always start at 0. 0 is always the first place that we're going to start. So step number 1, we're going to start at 0. So I'm going to draw a little line above the 0 to show that that's where I'm starting with. Now from there, I now can look at the problem and look at my first number. Is my first number a positive or a negative? A negative. So which direction will I move? To the left. So I'm going to go ahead, since I was doing negatives in pink, I'm going to stick with just putting this in pink. I'm going to put a box around -6. And I'm going to write down that my step number 2, I'm going to move left. How many spots? 6 spots. I'm going to move left 6 units or 6 jumps. So starting at 0, we're going to go 6 units to the left. And then we're going to stop right there. So I'm going to have a nice little wall that I'm going to. So there's my arrow that I've gone. Now I can look at my second number. Look at my second number. Is that a positive or a negative? Positive. So which direction will we move? To the right. Am I going to start at 0? No. You're going to start right where you left off at, right? You can't transport yourself back to start without moving. So starting at the -6, we're going to now move 2 spots to the right, and that's our final answer. So let me write that down again. I'm going to move right 2 units. I'm going to move right 2 units. That's all we've done. So let me start it over again. The first thing we do is we always start at 0. Starting at 0, we look at our first number and it tells us the direction and how much. Since it was negative, we moved left and we went 6 units to the left because it was a -6. Then from there, we look at our second number. Our second number is a +2, which tells us to go 2 units to the right. So now we use 2 units to the right. What's our final answer? -4. Boys. So our final answer here is at -4. So what this means is that -6 plus 2 is going to equal -4. -6 plus 2 is going to equal -4. Okay, I want you to try number 2 on your own. Again, start at 0, then look at your first number to tell you which direction and how much to move. Then look at your second number to tell you which direction and how much to move from there. Okay, so let's take a look. Where are we going to always start at? 0. We're always going to start at 0. From there, from 0, how much am I going to move, Jacqueline? To the right 3 times, right? That first number right here, that 3 is telling me I'm going to move to the right 3 times. So there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now from the 3, because that's where we stopped at, where are we going to move now? Coven? 5 to the left. So starting at that 3, I'm going to draw a line above it again. I'm going to use 5 units to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's my stopping point. So what's my final answer? -2. Okay, so that -5 told me which direction to move, and I get an answer of -2. I'm going to go ahead and write those steps here again, just so that you can see it. If you are good and understand, you don't have to write all the steps. But for those of you who need those steps one more time, they're off to the side here. We always start at 0. That is our very first starting point. We take a look at our first number. Our first number this time was a positive, so we're moving right 3 units. We moved to the right 3 units because we had a positive 3. Then from the positive 3, we would move 5 units left, right? We're moving left 5 units because we had a negative 5. And that ended us up at negative 2 as our final answer. Now, the reason I didn't want us to do problem 3 yet is because there's something a little bit different that we have to do first with problem 3. What do you think we have to work out first before we can start graphing, Jada? Do you want to call on Jacqueline? He knows. The absolute value. We got to work out this absolute value first. Remember, absolute value is always going to be positive. Absolute value is always going to be positive because it's the distance from 0. So absolute value of negative 3 means we're actually dealing with a positive 3. So we really have positive 3 plus negative 7. Go ahead and work this one out. Graph this one. Remember, you start at 0, and then you look at each number to tell you how to move. First, let's see if yours is going to look like mine. I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to move to the right 3 units because I had a positive 3. Then from there, I'm going to move to the left 7 units because of that negative 7, and I get my final answer to equal negative 4. So everybody should have gotten negative 4 as theirs. So again, we started at 0. Our first number was a positive 3, so we moved 3 units to the right. Then our second number was a negative 7, so we moved backwards 7 units to the left, and it stopped us at negative 4. Okay. We're going to head to lunch. When we come back from lunch, you'll have an assignment.